Hello, it is 501 week number 2. So, this week we're looking at the core Google tools. Docs, Sheets, Slides, Sites. If Sites makes it on, we'll call those the core 4. Those are the ones you're going to see mostly this week, regardless. So, we're going to jump into that, shall we? Yeah, all right. Let's actually jump at the end of the page if you're following along. You're going to continue on with the Google Certified Educator Level 1 exam, looking at the next 3 fundamentals. These are manage time effectively, manage student work, and measure student progress. So, real life scenario just now, like this literally just happened. I have a 7th grader at the school. So news post, hey, 7th graders doing some service learning. Please fill out this vendor supplied PDF and return it to them. So you open up the PDF, fill it out. So first of all, right, like, could that be a Google form? Probably, maybe legally they need a specific format or something. I don't know. But whatever, fill out the PDF, no problem. Google Drive will now do that for you. If you're on Mac OS, you can download it in preview and then annotate that PDF just fine. Same thing, although it's slightly more complicated on an iPhone or iPad. Great. But now there's an entire 7th grade class that has completed waivers, permission slips. Really a waiver because it's for the organization we're going to. And then it had 2 commands: either mail it, like physical mail us the form, or fax it to us. And so I reached out and was like, hey, are we really going to fax stuff? Like, is every 7th grade parent really going to fax all of these? I was like, oh, just email it to Molly. She's the lead teacher on this. I was like, do we just want a Google form? I was like, no, because they have to fill out the waiver, not a Google form. I was like, no, to collect. And they're like, oh, we already sent it out. So what could we have done? Could have had a Google form, and although I guess forms isn't this week, but this came up just now, so we're still going to talk about it. What's your kid's, like, it's super simple. What's your kid's name? And then a required box to upload a document. It has to be a PDF or an image in case someone takes a photo of it. And then submit. Then that teacher can set it up to get an email every time, or just open up the spreadsheet. Link to that is a Google Drive folder. All the permission slips are there. And then they can either fax it or email it to their contact, or I suppose print them out and just hand it to them. Anyway, we're going to just email them. And I emailed it to Molly and was like, here's the PDF. Instead of like meetings where like this meeting could have been an email, this email could have been a Google form. But yet there we are. We also use this for all school assembly. It's fairly complex. We live stream it. So we have 2 cameras, 2 wireless microphones, a laptop. The laptop's connected to an 85-inch TV on wheels. This is all outdoors. We bring it out every Friday morning. Wish we had done like Friday, like before lunch or something. First thing in the morning, it's rough. And various people can like submit slides or videos. Every once in a while, they'll just randomly email it to me, and not helpful, because we have a dedicated email address that is for students connected to our Makerspace, the Hub. So it's Hub Students at Hillbrook. It's one of the only email addresses we have that's an actual inbox, that's not a group, that's not an actual person. And so that is owner of a Google form, and we call it Flag because there's a flag, and I don't know. It's not a great name for it. But our all school assembly on Friday mornings. Submitting to our all school assembly. What's your name? What is the title of your thing? How long will it be? Upload any assets here. And the Google form is set to accept images, links, could be slides, could be videos or audio. And then I get all of that and bring it all together. And then our final step, by the way, with slides, we do not run Google Slides live outside with embedded videos for 600 people. That is a bad idea. So our workflow, and I think this kind of gets to the bigger theme of this week, and I'm just kind of randomly talking about like Hillbrook stuff. But I promise it all connects. And as you watch these videos and read through some resources, you'll be like, oh, I see what Bill's school is doing. Not that it's my school. The school Bill works at. The school that Bill is directing the tech at. So Google Slides, we're a Google Workspace for Education school. So every human here has a Google account. That simplifies things greatly. So our student council, Stuco, builds out the slide deck. They have it locked in by Thursday at lunchtime. No changes after that. And then after school on Thursday, I have my bus duty. Then I come to my office. I download it from Google Slides to a PDF. And then, are you ready for this? So if you're like, all right, this is boring, we're gonna level this up a couple notches. Are you ready for this? We have it as a PDF, and then I run a script that ChatGPT wrote for me, makes the folder. I type in the name, so I just edit it in a Google Doc. Maybe I'll even share it with you just to like break your brain of like what's possible. Like once you install kind of some third-party software in Terminal on Mac, this is Mac OS only, then you just like change the file name to today's date or tomorrow's date, because I make it Thursday for Friday. Change that, open up Terminal, paste it. You feel like you're a hacker, hit return, and what it does, so I'm recording this on Friday, March 6th, so we had flag this morning, our all school assembly, and so I did flag-2026-03-06. It creates that folder. You open up the folder, and there's a 600 DPI, which is HD, that's a 4K image, and just you're looking at an empty folder, and it's just like slide 1, slide 2, slide 3, slide 4, slide 5. So because they're no longer editable Thursday as of noon, I download the copy. That very, very simple script turns it into images. Then all I do, Command A to select all, open up Keynote, Apple's slide software, drag them all from Finder into Keynote, 54 slides, 54 images, back to 54 slides. If there's videos, I drag those directly into Keynote. Everything is local on that computer, and then we run it from that computer. So if anyone makes any last minute changes, too bad. These are not editable, but it's rock solid. So for me, it leverages the best of all the different platforms. Google Docs because it's collaborative, Google Slides because it's collaborative, Google Forms because anyone can submit to it. These are all cloud-based, so when you are outside and there are 600 people and you're live streaming it, that is not the time for like, hang on, the video is loading, because if parents show up and have phones and teachers have phones and most of the middle school has phones, and then we're one-to-one iPads and everyone has an iPad, suddenly that's over 1,000 devices on a single wireless access point, and the video for your all school assembly will not load. So we download them from the Google Form, which is actually a Google Drive folder, download them from Google Slides to PDF. My little fancy script gives us images, and that gets us into Keynote, and it's just like beautiful. Love that workflow. And so I think we've been around like Google Docs long enough that kind of some of the basics are fine. I have kind of one kind of advanced thing to share with you around Google Docs that's relatively new that will likely come up in your certification exam. And then kind of one way to think about all of these devices, big picture, that's both super obvious and also possibly something you would have considered. So the first thing is the little trick. They're called tabs, right? Tab? Yes, document tabs. I saw an 8th grader who happens to be my kid using tabs in such a great way as a study guide. So they didn't make a study guide for a test. They could use a study guide on the test. And instead of just being like one long document or like headings as one long document, it was a tab, one for each section. So here's the 4 things I need to know, 4 tabs. On a phone, actually, she was on her phone logged into her Hillbrook Google account. This is actually like super clean. I was shocked at how easy it was to navigate massive amount of information on the phone on the Google Docs app. If you happen to work on your phone a fair amount, tabs, your new friend. Like, so pro. Slightly less obvious on a desktop, sometimes people can hide the document tabs and it won't show up. So if you're collaborating on something, you might want to mention that. So I still kind of like for meetings the running one page for all the things and then maybe a tab per year if it's going to be like a really long like emergency committee Google Doc or something. Because I don't need to know last year's, but I can click over to a tab and see last year's. Lots of things, but I love that way that she was organizing the information with tabs. I've not seen it used quite so compellingly, that's a word, right? As it was at that point. So we're going to zoom out, talk HyperDocs, but HyperDocs actually came out of a dinner that I was having with a few people, three of which invented the term HyperDocs, ran with it, built out kind of all the curriculum parts of it, and for sure connected with like UDL, Universal Design for Learning, in super meaningful ways. So I'm not remotely trying to take the credit, but I was there when we had the conversation, and it was me actually asking this question about a Google Doc, because someone was talking about it as a document, and I was talking about it as a web page, and someone was like, well, what do you mean? I was like, every Google Doc's just a web page. You're essentially making a website every time you click new document, because it has a unique URL. That's all the website is. You can only access it with that link. Even in Google Docs on a phone, like Google Drive, you're still clicking on it, it opens up a website. So really all we're doing is building a website. And the friends at the table, we were at Spring Q in Palm Springs, the big EdTech conference with 6,000 of your closest friends. There was kind of general confusion, and then it was just, and then there were like light bulbs above everybody's head all at once. It was like, oh, so like anything can link to anything. It doesn't have to be this. Pretend this is a document. This is a document. I will hand you the document. I've now turned in the document, right? Like, sure, Google Doc can work for that. It can be private, it can be shared. But it's actually like, this is a web page. Anything can link to this. This can link to anything. And for me, that's really at the heart of what a HyperDoc is it shifting it away from like, this is word processing to this is a thing that can be linked to, this is a thing that can link to anything. So a lot of the HyperDoc templates you're going to see, if you're just like Googling HyperDoc templates, often are just like Google Doc, here's a bunch of links, click on it and go to other things, right? Like almost like blanking out, I have that Wakelet. I didn't even need to look on my computer. Wakelet, just like a series of bookmarks, collections, or like that one way back when, was it, what was that bookmarking one? There's Diigo, D-I-I-G-O, and then before that, I think it was like Delicious Bookmarks or something. That like a Google Doc or a HyperDoc is just a glorified set of links. And this is actually your discussion board post. By the way, discussion board initial post due Thursday. 2 follow-up comments to 2 classmates due Sunday. Make sure you do have AP formatted reference. That's the question in discussion board. And some look at it that way. A lot of people kind of treat it that way. But really, like any part of any Google Doc can link to another tab on any Google Doc in it or a different one. It can link to any slide because each slide has its own part. If it's a longer Google Doc, it can link to a heading. If you're in Google Sheets, you can right click or long press and what is it called? Right click, view, you have to scroll, view more cell actions, get link to this cell. So now I click on that, it's on my clipboard. So now it's docs.google.com/spreadsheet/whole bunch of stuff, CE/edit, question mark, and then it has the page I'm on, and then it has ampersand, range equals G18. So I can now link that one cell to any heading in Google Docs. Any heading in Google Docs, any word in Google Doc can link to this exact cell G18 on our stage lighting inventory Google Sheet. right? Like anything can link to anything, and it can be like super granular. It doesn't have to be a whole document. So for me, like that really opens up what's possible. There's also a few other hacks where you can add, like right now it's /edit because I'm the owner of it and I was actually editing this Google Sheet. If you change it to /copy, it will open it up. Let me double check that it does the right thing the right way, /copy, and it pops up and says, would you like to make a copy of, insert the title name. If you change it from /edit to /preview, then it gives you a nice thing without file, edit, all the menu bar at the top, /preview. If you add a template in front of preview, /template/preview, this one's the gold, it shows you the document and there's something in the corner that says use template. So it's as though you just made your own custom template. It forces a copy, but it lets you see what it is beforehand. So even if you're just editing this Google Sheet, but you want your students to have your own version of it, you can have that HyperDoc at the beginning. So Google Doc and just has like a 2x4, so like 8 table cells. And one of them says, click here to like make your own copy of a thing. You click on it and it goes to a Google Sheet /template/preview. And it says use template. They do that. You can do the same thing in Google Classroom and it automatically gives you sharing permissions, but they just need to take one and run with it. Like there's so much you can do by thinking about this, not in terms of this is a spreadsheet but online, this is a spreadsheet but for Google, but this is a Google Sheet and it's a website. It's good stuff. All right, video is long enough. If you have questions, reach out. Otherwise, happy week to everybody.